We've got a full night, or a full room. Welcome to Fairleigh Dickinson University's Vancouver campus. It's wonderful to see so many people turning out for Poets Corner. I am not hosting tonight. I am simply here to say welcome to the university. We are very proud to host Poets Corner and offer the territorial acknowledgement that we are on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and ts'ekw'unshun nations. But without further ado, I am going to turn over hosting to Jillian. Thank you all so much for coming.
Kim Trainor. So Kim Trainor is the granddaughter of an Irish banjo player and a Polish faller who worked in logging camps around Port Alberni in the 1930s. Her second book of poetry, Lady, was a finalist for the 2019 Raymond Souster Award. A Thin Fire Runs Through Me will be published on the 28th of March with Icehouse Poetry. Goose Lane Editions. A blueprint for survival poems will appear with Guernica editions in 2024. Her poetry films, created with musician Hazel Fairburn, have been screened at various festivals, including the Zebra Festival in 2020 in Berlin and the 9th Annual Film Festival in Athens, Greece, 2021. Nice work. Lady was performed live as part of the Assembly exhibit at the New Media Gallery in New Westminster in fall 2021. Recent poems have appeared in Hwlhits'um, Anthropocenes, Dark Matter, Women Witnessing, Ecocene, Isle, and Ecozon. Her poetry has also been anthologized in Dark Mountain, UK, and Fire Season 1 and 2 in Vancouver. Most recently, her poetry film, Hwlitsum, Signs, will be part of the installation Walk Quietly, ts'ekw'unshun, qututhun, a guided walk at Hwlitsum in Delta, BC, that features contributions from artists, scientists, and Hwlitsum and Cowichan knowledge holders. Kim lives in Vancouver traditional homelands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsʻekw'unshun nations. Thanks, Kim, for that bio.
I did that just for you.
I know
it did. Okay, so I also just want to say how lovely it was to have all of the open micers here. I always love the open mic. It's my favorite part of the evening every time. And to see her for the first time in person, it's like God walked into the room. I was just really delighted to see that. And we also have our youngest poetry lover here tonight. So, Rowan, I'm so glad you could come too. Oh.
No, babe, it's okay.
You can do the open mic next week. And I feel like I'm going to say exactly what Dominique said, because I also have a book coming out with Icehouse Press on the 28th of March, and this is like a sneak preview of it. It's not in French, though. So there's that. So I think I'm going to just start, and I thought I would start. I'm also going to start with prose. I'm not copying you, Dominic. I'm really not. But I thought it would be helpful to try to also set the scene a little bit for this collection. It's actually quite old. Like I wrote this in a series of, I guess it was about 9 months in 2015, 2016. So old times now, but it took a while to get it out and so on. And it became essentially a meditation each day or every other day on one of the hexagrams of the I Ching. So each one is based on a different one, and I'm sort of meditating on it, I suppose. And it's, I guess, just to give a little bit of the background, I'll also explain what was happening at that time, in case we've all forgotten. We all have sort of post-COVID amnesia. So it's the run-up to the Trump election, where he's going to become president of the United States. Ratko Mladic is on trial at The Hague for genocide and crimes against humanity. There's the rise of populist fascism. The IPCC has not come out with its special report on 1.5 degrees of warming, but we're reading every day of the existential threat we face as the Holocene yields to the Anthropocene. 60 harvests left, wildfires, the losses to J-Pod, the endangered resident orcas who live in the Salish Sea. There's an opioid crisis in Vancouver's downtown east side. Every day comes news of more overdose deaths. Overseas, Syria is in the middle of a civil war. whose cause many have argued is climate change, drought. Every day comes news on the Battle of Aleppo. The quotidian offers us up minutia, tweets, Instagrams, social media posts, online news. We peer into other lives. We absorb words, headlines, violent events. We see and we don't see. These scraps are unintegrated, cannot be integrated, yet we carry them. At times, only poetry seems an adequate medium of response. So I'll start with the title sequence, Bluegrass. There is a kind of narrative arc to the book as well, which begins with heartbreak and then sort of despair, and then it goes into depression. And then it does end a little more happily with love, although it ends with heartbreak again. But we'll just start with the first heartbreak. This was going to be called Bluegrass, actually, but I had this wonderful editor, Ross Leckie, shout out to Ross, and he encouraged me to keep trying again and again and again to find a better title, and eventually we came up with The Thin Fire Runs Through Me, which is a translated line from a poem by Sappho, in fact. So this is Bluegrass, which was what the book was originally going to be called. My body is earth and blood and blue. I can't scour. I can't dig it out. When I think I've lost you, I collect words to replace your body. Bluegrass, dock bobs, banjo. A handwritten sign in the window offers tattoos and tarot card readings. Gather yarrow, pass the I Ching. I have been vigilant. All night, I was digging at your grave. In morning sunlight, your calm forms a skin, a blessing on me. Porto Cove, Furry Creek, a train's whistle threads Indian arm in the dark. I wake with the moon. You have sent me a telegram. The water is clay, teal, chalk, bruised pink as when petals rot. I clothe my lover with flowers and wounds. I need more words than you can give. Spill of pine needles, the tide comes in. The water does not taste of salt. Swallow it. Crows burnt into your arms. One in flight, one at rest. Hitch on your wrist and brow. Yellow safety vest with orange stripes X'd on it, hung up to dry on the bathroom door. I feel like there's some kind of visitation coming. I feel these sounds that keep coming. Is that you, Herb? I don't know if you can hear online, but there are interesting voices.
The first one was really well thought.
Okay, where was I? I'm going to skip to the next one. A banjo's notes plucked clean from the water Sunday morning, but I wanted to marry that boy from the mountains. You tell me of railroad spikes and drone strings. I offered Cherokee blues, Karen Dalton. Consult the book of changes. I place it on your chest. Methods, yarrow, 3 coin, marbles, beads, or grains of rice. Hexagram 23, bow, stripping, splitting apart, flaying, the typewriter cracks letters open. There's no way of telling. Write these words down. She rings like silver and she shines like gold. Signals intermittent on the island. I make antennae with my body to receive your call. Initials carved in the peeled green skin of the arbutus. Luku Pikron, bittersweets tattoo. Is it hexagram 2, field, reception, acquiescence, flow, or 39, limping, obstruction, hobbled, bound? And when it comes, I can't read you. The crows speak their own language. Helicopter bugs whir around the scorched grass at dusk. Dark ideograms. This morning it was hexagram 62, small, exceeding, preponderance of the small, small surpassing. You couldn't squish me if you tried. You could lie on an ant and it would get up and carry you away to its lair. The size of a sperm cell is about 0.50 micrometers or 0.002 inches. It cannot be seen with the naked eye. Small things, the tip of a needle, a quark, a grain of the universe, too small for human instruments to measure. All day you see down of me. As we lie together, the wind in the leaves sounds like rain. How about hexagram 18, named for venom, correcting? Work on what has been spoiled, decaying. Overnight, the Holocene yields to the Anthropocene. We leave signals in the rock. Radionuclides, plastics, carbon. Read the Quran picked out in white on a rooftop. The silver-skinned Fraser's steps dripping from the mist. You do not write to me. I have been alone all day, all night. We have smoked the earth. Dig up any structure and you'll find chicken bones. And when you are gone, I embalm you with words. Remove the tongue, remove the eyes. When they ask me about you, I say, I moved on, there's this boy with an ood. Always behind the barricades, no way in, your mouth a void. So it was hexagram 23 after all, stripping, flaying, splitting apart. The typewriter cracks, letters open, splintered words. My face is riddled with holes. All night I was digging at your grave. So that's the bleakest and darkest it gets. And then we move on to the depression part. So this is the book of changes. And as I said, one poem per hexagram. So I'll just read a few from these, and then I want to actually move on to something newer, because this is, as I said, in the past in many ways. Hexagram 40. This morning I decide on hexagram 40, taking apart. Deliverance, untangled, take everything apart. Take a walk around Lake Lafarge. Again, the crows are gathering. Take the edge of the alphabet. Take venlafaxine, take Sgsmåthkvæy, some more milk. Begin the unraveling. The six-winged beings fly. Serotonin and seraphim, all the orders of angels. Holy, 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 touch my lips with coal from the altar. I want purity, light, ardor. 53. This is the hexagram for dialectical progression, infiltrating step by step. There have been 6 reigns of 100,000 poems: Lemonade, Dubrovnik, Guernica, Warsaw, Berlin, London. The avant-garde of mad bindweed bearing cups from which trickle the blue drunkenness. A man in the yurt tells me his plans to etch 2 million words on a 2 by 2 inch nickel plate to blast into space, but I forget to send him a poem. Another man injects his codons into an unwitting bacterium. Poetry is the cockroach of the arts. Tardigrades in their tuned state have survived on the moon. And I'll just read one. Oh, that's such a depressing one. I'll find oh man. I promise the film is really fun. Let's see. Okay. This is 22. Cobalt glow of screens as we queue for the bus. Ban Ki-moon trending on Twitter. Aleppo is now a synonym for hell. They're playing roulette with hashtag fentanyl. Liquid crystals leak blue into faces. This lady in a sweater of sparkling gold eyes. In this line, I want to include an angel. Angels, Chayot HaKadosh, Ophanim, Aralim, Hashmalim, Seraphim, Malachim, Elohim, Bene Elohim, Cherubim, Ishim. Beauty and fire blazing up. We settle in for the long ride. 22. B. Grace. So as I said, this was written quite a long time ago and pre-COVID. So I've since actually written a completely other book of poetry, which is called A Blueprint for Survival, which is coming out next year. And it's really focusing a lot on climate change and existential threats that we're facing. And I've been partly working a lot with Hazel Fairbairn who is also a colleague of mine at Douglas College, and she is a fiddle player and amazing musician. She's been doing the soundtracks for me. So I thought I would shift gears, and I'll show you. Actually, this will be the world premiere of Lentil. It's called Lentil, which is, as I describe it, an experimental poetry film on the 6th mass extinction and the importance of eating lentils. So I have to bow out now because I'm going to go over there and turn it on because it's on my computer. That's the only way I'm sort of doing tech at the same time. So here we go.
Anne lives in the basement suite of a Vancouver special, west of Renfrew, east of Nanaimo. I'm biking up Renfrew after work on a wet March night, bottle of cheap red in my pannier. Anne has made a pot of dal and no-knead pumpernickel, just back from a Buddhist meditation retreat in the interior. He has been hiking and tramping and trekking and writing on hydro dams and sightseeing commodity fetishism and keeping an eye on the carbon ppm and the atmosphere creep up and up and up for years, for decades now. Outraged and contrarian, angry, funny, exuberant, dogmatic, accelerant. Oh, my querulous Marxist friend, what sorrow's root, what rages, what ails you tonight? The earth is in Bardo. Sit down at the kitchen table, pour wine into jars. What can I say, man? I've been thinking about this since the 80s. So we drink and talk Radon, Shimano, Campagnolo, McGibbon, Mumbai, Tunberg, James Lovelock. He's a crackpot. No, he's not. The IPCC special report on 1.5 degrees of warming. Fusion is magical thinking. Recipes for pumpernickel. The war in the woods and Spora Berman. But she was wrong on Run of the River. Meditation. You just watch your breath. It takes years. Sometimes I masturbate. The lovely Lily, Linda, Natasha, Chandra, Karen, Chavisa, Mig, Susie, Helen, Stephanie, Jessica. Oh, but she was so lovely. Talk vegan diets and carbon gentrification, sequestration, the Pope's encyclical Laudato Si, West Moberly and Soto Nations, endangered caribou in the peace. You just watch your breath. The Bardal Todal. The earth is in Bardo. N serves bowls of dal, coarse sea salt, chopped jalapeno. Now we're on to the Green New Deal and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Is it a fatal error to link the dismantling of capitalism to carbon reduction? The open letter to Extinction Rebellion, the Red New Deal. I don't know. How can I put it? Everything's fractured, all these little splinter ideologies. The Trans Mountain Pipeline, Tsleil-Waututh, Blockadia, Naomi Klein blurs together all these different kinds of capitalism. Solar cells, wind turbines, climate Leviathan, climate Mao, chlorella, spirulina. Trump is right, the cows will have to go. Can we keep goats? I love goats. And we have to stop eating fish, the main protein source for coastal poor in the south. The Svalbard Seed Bank, no-till farming, Bija mantras. You just watch your breath. Thoughts will interfere, and you just watch them too. The Greenland ice shelf, methane deposits and permafrost, eco-modernists, microplastics, converting farmland to forest, genetic modification of staple crops to fix more carbon in their roots. My grandfather invented Trillium for Monsanto. He was the father of the Green Revolution. The irony. The tiny house warriors and Canahus Manuel. John Bellamy Foster, disciplining capital. How good the doll. If you don't have a pressure cooker, you have to soak the lentils overnight. The Zen Center, the Salvation Army. I put photos of my challah on Bumble. Calls for World War II-style mobilization. The Apollo Foundation, more like the moonshot. The Great Transition, what form will it take? Tropical diseases creeping north. Sea levels are rising. Arctic melt, albedo effect, existential threat, climate denial, climate despair. The dregs of the wine. The earth is in Bardo. Remember that time we went to the Princeton? Yes. The Wise Hall is busy. What's up, hot dog? Too noisy. Hey, the beer is pretty cheap at the Brighton. Slip through a cordon of smoke to sit at the bar. Talk methane and cows. Vegan proteins. Recharging stations for electric cars. The Evergreen line. Global dimming. Qualia bundling. They called my grandfather Q. We had t-shirts made up. My grandma ran a boarding house in East Vancouver. He was given a lab by UBC when he retired from McGill. She only took men. Firefighters, policemen, loggers. They were her boys. Communal living, urban density, object-oriented ontology. What's that? An extension of Heidegger. No one believes in Heidegger anymore. A critique of the Kantian emphasis on the subjective correlationist and the need to shift back towards the object, the thing in itself. No one believes in the thing in itself. Maybe that's the problem. How can I put it, man? Kantian noumena is not the problem here. A way to recognize, to acknowledge the other. Heidegger's tool analysis. What can I say? We need to increase the carbon tax by several $100s per ton. Yes, of course, but also, last call. Last call. The first bardo is the bardo of life. The second is an aspect of the first, the bardo of dreams. The third is the bardo of meditation, actively pursued. The fourth is the moment of death. The fifth, the chonyi bardo, is the bardo of the luminosity of the true nature. A liminal state of terrifying vision and sound, in which one seeks the clear light. The sixth bardo is that of becoming, the transmigrating form determined by the karmic seeds, bija, within the storehouse consciousness, seeds which determine the new form. N texts me. He's back from a radon conference in Saskatoon. I'm at Descanso Bay, Campsite 5, the dark-eyed juncos. Are you in Nanaimo with Y? Alone? Gabriola, alone. Y is en route from Edmonton. A is maybe in Edmonton. I'm working on a new long poem. Your recipe for dal will figure somehow, and A's snowdrops. Yes, lentils. Beyond meat lies 3 millennia of food wisdom, blessed by Krishna, Shiva, and Ram. I am boiling split mung beans as we speak, gonna eat with millet. Yes, each section will be about a seed, one being lentil. I hope you grant me blessing to include your texts in my poem. Yes, go ahead. Better even than being a poet is being a poet's muse. Lentil is not a seed, by the way.